Hey, you! Yes, both of you! Over here! I've been keeping an eye on you for a while now.
Huh? You mean us?
That's right. If I'm not mistaken, you're also among those who wish to cut down the thorns and pursue the truth. No? And by the looks of it, you're not from Fontaine.
Well, you're right on the more about that one, but who are you?
Have you never heard of the Spina di Rosula? From mediating disputes and providing protection to solving conundrums, you name it, Spina di Rosula does it. And I, Navia, have the honor of being its renowned president. Though those who play by our rules call me boss.
I'm Silver, her attendant. Pleased to meet you.
And I'm Melus. Demoiselle's various daily needs and affairs are under my purview.
Huh? Boss? Demoiselle? What gives with the names?
Well, I am the second generation president. Melus and the others are still used to my previous title.
My apologies, Demoiselle. Should you prefer, boss, I will endeavor to use that instead.
No need. You don't have to call me boss. Just Navia is fine.
Okay, if you say so. Not that we're members of Spina di Rosula anyway.
All merely trifling details. Never mind. Now, back to the situation at hand. That's right. I've always kept an eye on the serial disappearance cases. My interest stems from a matter back from my father's time. Judging from the look of things, I find Linny an unlikely mastermind.
Really? We think so too! That's why we're looking for clues now. But how did you come to that conclusion?
Intuition, naturally. My unparalleled intuition. Farina sure was quick to point the finger at Linny without any decisive evidence whatsoever, wasn't she? But that's not uncommon for her. If you remember, the Justice had to interrupt her and ask if she was pressing charges just to keep her from getting carried away. Anyway, a trial begins the moment someone levels charges. And, of course, there was no way Farina was going to back down in that situation.
Sounds more like you just don't trust the Hydro Archon.
Well, what's your opinion? I must admit that she can be interesting at times, but liking her doesn't mean that I'll blindly agree with her. All right, I've answered your question. Now, it's time you answer mine.
Wait a minute, did that answer count?
Well, I say it does. But don't worry, you won't hear any pointless questions from me. In your opinion, do you think it's right to treat a trial like it's an opera?
Well?
And why would that be? See, Silver and Melus? I told you they'd be different.
Most astute of you, Demoiselle. I, too, think that the Traveler's response was most excellent. No matter how wonderful the script or how fervent the audience's expectations may be, the trials that go on stage here must be based in fact. And if that can be done, boss, then...
All right, that's quite enough, Melus. Anyway, I like your answer. You pass with flying colors. Now, I need to make some preparations, following which our joint investigation shall commence.
Wait! Since when did we become assistants?
Well, I can be the assistant, sure. Or your companion, if you like. I'm really not that fussy.
That's more like it.
Far be it from me to brag, but I believe that Demoiselle's intuition will be instrumental in uncovering the truth. You wish to save a friend from false accusations, and we wish to unravel the disappearances. In this sense, our goals are aligned.
You have a point. You're quite the talker, aren't you, mister? And what about you over there? What do you think? You seem like you've got something on your mind.
I have nothing to add.
Oh, alrighty then.
We'll be making some preparations first. Just be sure to let us know if they start revealing Linny's tricks. Thanks!
Speaking of that, I think magic shows would be very popular in Poisson.
I can see that. Maybe I should try to learn some magic. If I could make things disappear, cleaning my room would be a cinch.
You need not worry about such things, demoiselle. That falls under my duties.
Oh, right.
What is this place?
It seems someone could fit through here.
Could this have been the suspect's escape route?
Alone, perhaps. But if they had to pull another person with them, the space would be too narrow.
But there are no other ways in or out of here. Oh, you're right! Let Paimon write that down. Seems we're just about done investigating down here.
Yes. Let's head back up. Well, we've ascertained the state of the crime scene. Let's find a place to sort out our findings once Melus returns. It seems to me that there are several things that don't add up here.
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle.
So, what did the guards say? Did the criminal escape through the vent?
They believe the odds of that are very low, since the vent leads to the Opera House's basement. The guards have checked the area carefully. No one left through the basement during the performance or after the incident, and no one was found hiding there.
So the tunnels become like a secret chamber then! You know, like the kind you usually see in novels!
The plot thickens. Halsey's disappearance and Cowell's death are both quite inexplicable. No wonder Farina was so confident in her accusation. All the current evidence points toward Linny and Lynette.
In other words, the charges are very likely to be upheld unless we make some considerable progress.
Charges and then trial. So if the charges are upheld, they'll announce a sentence?
That's right. This is how a trial goes in the Opera House. During the proceedings, the Chief Justice and the Oratrice will hear statements from both sides. That's right. This is how indemnitium is produced. The statements from both sides, the defenses from attorneys, witness testimonies, and even the audience's emotions will all be projected on the Oratrice. To put it simply, it's as if the Oratrice has its own will, and is a judge in its own right.
This also precludes any kind of favoritism on the part of the Chief Justice. And not that this has ever happened anyway.
Once both sides have finished speaking, the Chief Justice will make his final decision. This, too, will be used by the Oratrice as a reference. Then, finally, the Oratrice will be consulted by officials. The result it returns is the will of justice itself.
Huh? So that machine is the one that actually decides? Paimon thought Neuvillette called the shots.
In practice, there is very little difference. Both have always come to the same judgment, which is why people have great faith in the Chief Justice. Ah, yes, the guards also asked me to convey that none of us will be allowed to leave this place before the trial.
Huh? Why?
Because we've chosen to act as the twins' proxies. That makes us persons related to the case.
They're concerned that we might be colluding with outside parties, or that we might find outside help to disrupt the case. And even if that were not so, it could prove problematic if we happen to spread key information about the case ahead of time.
I'm ready to break out at any time.
Whoa! There's no need for that! Paimon thinks they have a point. That said, are they providing food?
Of course. I just hope you don't mind the lack of options. I'm afraid that catering to all tastes is not in the cards, nor is any guarantee of balanced nutrition.
In that case, let's just sort out our findings together here. Pity. I was hoping to take you to try some of Fontaine's famous desserts, too. I mean, what better way to properly think through our findings than over some tea and sweets?
Huh. Breaking out suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad idea after all. Just kidding! Paimon will still do her best, even if there are no snacks.
What do you mean, no snacks? Of course we'll have snacks. If we cannot buy some, then we'll simply make some.
Huh? Here? But how?
Understood, demoiselle. Everyone, please come with me.
Wait, you're carrying a portable stove with you?
Yes, I must be prepared to meet the demoiselle's baking needs whenever the fancy strikes her.
I have eggs, sugar, and almonds at the ready.
Good work, you two. Then I'll get to it. Please sit tight for a moment. You'll get to taste my awesome snacks soon enough.
These three are quite the interesting group. And Paimon thought it smelled good while it was still in the oven! Oh, it's even better now. Paimon can't stop drooling. From the way you had these two guys carrying all that stuff around, Paimon thought you'd have them do more during the baking process. But you ended up doing the entire thing by yourself! Beating the egg whites, grinding almonds, everything!
I was applauding.
And I was giving encouraging smiles.
Paimon was just thinking, aren't you worried about getting your fancy dress dirty beating egg whites and baking like this?
Well, I don't think it's carved in stone anywhere that fancy ladies can only read books, sip tea, ride horses, and play the piano. I just really enjoy making snacks. Don't underestimate beating egg whites, by the way. It's a real arm workout. You also need to beat them to just the right consistency, or your macarons will crack. Anyway, give these a try, fresh out of the oven. There's 3 for each of us.
Only 3?
Well, eating too many sweet treats might send all that sugar to your head. You wouldn't be able to think clearly about the case on a sugar rush, would you?
Tea is ready to be served as well. This is Demoiselle's favorite, strong black tea with a floral fragrance that clears the mind and lifts the spirit. No need for concern, I'm merely doing as I should.
All right then, down to business. As Paimon mentioned previously, the tunnel seems to be something of a secret chamber. However, we can assume that Linny and Lynette were not alone within it. Some criminal also occupied its sealed confines. The magician twins could have committed the crimes, of course, but they lack any logical motive.
Exactly! Why would they do such a thing right when everyone was watching?
The flower vase and the thud we heard during the performance could indicate some altercation between Halsey and the criminal in the tunnel, resulting in the shattering of the vase, the discarding of her clothes, and her abduction. Perhaps the criminal thought that since she was chosen from the crowd, she would be too easy to identify if she was still wearing the same clothes.
Paimon thinks that makes sense, but the real trouble is...
True. None of the clues we found thus far support the existence of this third person. But the only people left to consider are both technically victims, whether it's the missing girl, Halsey, or poor Cowell.
Huh. Could Halsey have secretly made modifications to the magic props in order to murder Cowell before making her escape?
That's right. And even if she had tampered with the setup, she would need to understand the entire trick to pull it off. Nor does she have any motive. The guards said that she has never had any dealings with the Magic Troop's members.
Were we not thorough enough in our search? From the sound of things, this is turning into an impossible case. Your macarons are amazing though, Navia. They smell great! They're nice and crisp and super sweet!
They are my specialty after all. And I see you've already had 5 of them.
But what? 5? Oh, that can't be right. Paimon only counted 3, honest!
Please don't worry about it. At my age, a few less sweets might actually be a good thing.
No. Being greedy is one thing, but Paimon knows how to count. Besides, Paimon knows that if she ate too many, then others wouldn't have enough. Wait, even you don't believe Paimon? How could you? Paimon ate those 2 extra macarons! Then may they turn
All right, we get it. Well, I suppose one of us might have gotten too engrossed in our chat and eaten them by mistake. No big deal. Melus, set up the stove again if you would.
Huh? What are you doing?
Making sure everyone gets 3 macarons, of course.
Exactly. We don't want to trouble you.
As you wish, demoiselle.
And I have the egg, sugar, and almonds.
Well, this really is your hobby, huh?
Well, that's it for snack time. I'm going to have another look around the area. I don't know what we're looking for yet, but we've still got some time. As attorneys, I suggest the two of you think the case over again. It would be awkward if you got all tongue-tied on stage during the trial.
All right, thanks for your help and for the snacks.
It was nothing. A small task for the Spina di Rosula. Silver, Melus, it's time to go. I'll be back if I find anything new.
Nami is outnumbered!
Demoiselle, look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand? Quick, now's our chance! I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Chlorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely as of late.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking, is it not?
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust. He would do the same, were he alive today.
Do not speak of my father!
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid unnecessary emotional harm.
Sorry, I did not consider your feelings.
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in grave danger?
I doubt I know much more than you, but I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances is very powerful. Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against me. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with the Maison Gardiennage could control them.
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to enforce the law. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means, deploying them as a private force of sorts.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not act rashly.
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That's my father's true last wish. Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clorand. But if you get any ideas, tell me first. I don't much appreciate being followed.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you. Good day, all.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clorend was being sincere with you. If we tried, we could attempt to thaw relations a little.
I know, I just... She's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done for! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clorend who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, I hope that every meal we have together shall be a victory feast. As such, we're still partners. There's no need to thank me.
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosula on account of her goodwill long ago.
All right, you two. That's enough.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did show up in the nick of time.
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed somehow? Cool, Paimon's even more amazing than she thought!
Yes, all thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky. Fanta only comes in sweet flavors, so how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall, had also been a bit off.
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
Yes, so if you hadn't drunk that cup for me...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for saving the boss.
Huh? Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate, but whoever did this left no trace at all. That's when I figured out that you might be in danger and hurried here as quickly as I could.
But why would they go after us too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name. Ugh, now we're caught up in this mess too, aren't we?
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process. Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial seawater?
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. He said that he heard that voice calling for Vache again. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too, but it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater then? Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were out cold?
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that is important. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he have... Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll help us investigate?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula, after all.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? I'll arrange accommodations for you. We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But we'll take that one step at a time, I guess.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
So, this is your base? It's not quite what Paimon imagined.
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately. After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us.
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, that does sound like it's worth it.
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago. I'm afraid I'm not quite his equal.
Your father... he was the previous boss of Spina di Rosula, right? How did he...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And as partners, this is something I hope they can understand. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial. He died in the duelist's ring.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but rumor has it that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender, determined to die in the arena. 3 years later, I still don't understand why he did. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom of that case.
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in, but I haven't found a single new clue in my countless reviews of the investigation records. However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his friend, I must get to the truth. If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Demoiselle, please, if there is anything I can do, anything at all.
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the two of you, Demoiselle. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case for him to be dubbed Callus the Unfaithful. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait, if Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious when he was accused?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. Everyone's like that. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, we have to find the truth.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Corand.
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him? Yeah, the sort of thing that you can just let go and move on from.
Miss Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't yield, she will not stop either. She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how he was resolute in the arena, there was only ever one choice she could have made.
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just can't deal with this yet.
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have to force yourself to do that.
Afterward, Miss Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety. Yes, that is our understanding as well.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right, anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end. Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after all.
Yeah. Paimon's feet.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly. Whether it be responsibility for Spina di Rosula or Master Callus's death, it all landed on Demoiselle's shoulders so suddenly. This won't do. I must become stronger.
Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, Demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordial sea? You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson. At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield. Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some... But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired. You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with 0 warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Melus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live, and the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict, but once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Melus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Melus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Melus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to is that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around, with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to...
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, There are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Melus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Oh, thank you so much, Melus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
It is settled, then. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Melus.
Kyle!
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Melus, Silver. When did you two get here?
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson, and figured that you might require our assistance. It's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered with the two of us by your side.
Thank you so much. Then, let's make haste for Araneus. Paimon, Traveler, I'll see you at the Opera House.
See you then!
Why do I feel like Farina's acting a little differently today?
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself again?
Alternatively, she's become more diligent after charging an innocent citizen in the last trial.
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. If the truth is indeed as you described, then why didn't Mr. Callus explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been dissolved, he could have at least mounted a defense.
I've thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. He felt there were things that were more important to him. The dissolving power of water from the primordial sea is an important secret for the true culprit of the serial disappearances case. My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose to take it to the grave. At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had no guarantee that going forward with the truth would allow the culprit to be brought to justice. What was certain, however, was that it would paint a gigantic target on my back.
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected as the next target of the serial disappearances case.
What? Fixated your gaze on the lover that passed away, instead of paying attention to the living people around you. So, you never noticed how we changed, or how we grew as individuals.
You also never understood Boss's real expectations for his daughter.
Or our determination to see things through.
Your determination.
Demoiselle, you were absolutely brilliant.
The day our late boss had always hoped for has finally come. You can rest easy now, knowing justice has been served.
Yeah. It's finally over. It's all thanks to you guys. And my partner. See, Papa? Spina di Rosula's still doing well with me at the helm. Well met, partner. I knew something great was going to happen when I woke up in such a good mood today.
Even this weather can't put a damper on the Demoiselle's mood.
It's a pleasure to see you both again.
Oh, now that I believe. I'm easy to work with and always bring home the bacon. Who wouldn't treasure having a partner like me?
Sounds like you're really enjoying life these days, Navia. What have you been busy with since the trial?
It's just been one thing after the other. I've been making non-stop trips between Poisson and the court since then. Everyone from Spina di Rosula organized a memorial for my father. We never held a memorial when he first died, since everyone knew that even if we held one back then, no one was going to come. This time, though, everyone in Poisson, and even many people from the court, all attended.
So his name's definitely been cleared now. That's what we like to hear.
It's been the dearest wish of Demoiselle all along.
That blasted stubborn fool. I was right to put my faith in him. I'm so glad I didn't give up on the case all those years ago. Oh, by the way, I ran into Charlotte just after I left the memorial service. Well, maybe it'd be more accurate to say I knew she would be there, and there was no way she'd just let me go.
Huh? So you know Charlotte too? The Charlotte? Journalist from the Steambird?
Yeah, way back when I first became the president of the Spina di Rosula, she was all over me. Wouldn't take no for an answer. I believe the story was called The True Heart of Darkness, Secret Tales of the Yellow Rose. To be fair, though, it was a really flattering feature. So, we've been on pretty good terms ever since. She was trying to lean on our friendship to get me to do an exclusive piece on the serial disappearances case.
Oh yeah, she told us about that. She's always been super interested in that case, so now her wish has finally come true too.
Anyway, I told her to make sure that when she writes about you guys entering the opera house with the critical evidence, that you both sound really cool.
Now that's another thing to look forward to. We trust Charlotte's skills with the pen for sure.
Oh, and in other news, I also took Clarand out for a meal.
Oh, are you two on better terms now?
While you were investigating Vaché's headquarters, Clarand gave testimony on my father's behalf. It was thanks to her that we were able to turn the tide. I wanted to thank her. I mean, there's also no point in being awkward all the time, so we took the chance to reconcile with each other.
Oh, that's great. Paimon also thought Clarand wasn't actually a bad person. It's always good to have more friends.
Anyway, now that the case has finally been solved, perhaps it will slowly begin to fade from the public consciousness. Oh, actually, there's still one last thing I need to do.
What is it?
I should pay a visit to my father's grave and tell him the truth of what happened, as well as how it all ended. And on top of that, just how much people still look up to him. That includes me, too.
Miss Navia.
Indeed.
We want to go too. We also think Callus is a really admirable person.
Sure thing. I'd like you two to share the moment with me. After all, without you, there might not have been such a positive ending.
And in that case, everyone, let's be off. Considering the recent weather, we'll be lucky if we can reach Poisson before dark.
Yeah, you're right. It's been raining non-stop for a few days now.
Navia, what's wrong?
Sorry. I just... Melus and Silver... They won't ever come back here again. What should I do, Papa?
Huh? What happened to them?
Everyone agreed on the rescue plan, but still... I was the one who initiated it. They were helping evacuate the residents, but they couldn't leave in time. And they were caught in the seawater.
What should we do?
I've known them for so long. And I know they weren't afraid. But I could at least hold a funeral for my father. And I know where he rests. But as for Melus and Silver, they're just... gone. I just can't.
Everything looks so clean after it rains. Even the gravestones. I didn't expect that you'd enjoy a glass of red wine in front of Master Callus's grave.
I can understand. Besides, the scenery here isn't half bad.
See, it's not just me. I always want to bring something when I visit Papa. Perhaps we might even have a picnic. He wouldn't be angry, would he?
How could Master ever be upset with you, demoiselle? Yet the cemetery is the home of those who have passed, is it not? Everyone ends up here sooner or later.
Buying yourself a plot in advance, are you?
No need yet. But when I do, I hope you'll let me be buried beside Master Callus, demoiselle.
Hey, stop joking around.
I'm quite serious. That way, it will save us both the trip to see each other whenever you visit your father's grave.
That makes sense. In that case, could I be buried on his other side?
After all, besides you, demoiselle, the two of us could certainly be considered Master's closest companions, no?
Personally, I believe we fill those shoes just fine.
Why are you bringing this up all of a sudden? Seriously. All right. I'll remember your requests. But I'd really prefer not to talk about this stuff. And what do you mean by saving me a trip? I'd make the journey even if I had to visit you two somewhere else. I'd promised to let them rest in peace here. But here I am breaking that promise. I'm sorry for letting you see me in a mess like this. I don't usually cry, really.
Paimon doesn't know how to help you feel better. But, well, she understands how you feel.
I'd always thought I could make my wishes come true. But now that I think about it, that never solely relied on me. Many things can only be accomplished with someone else's help. Melus and Silver have helped me so much. But by contrast, I could do nothing for them. I'm so sorry.
You can spend as much time as you need here, Navia. We'll stay with you.
Thank you. Right now, you don't know how much that means. By the way, you can have a look at this. It's a list of victims from the incident that took place here.
Obena, Khan, Burnett, Giverny, Francine, Karina, Daisy Ray, Joinville, Julianne, Esson, as well as Melus and Silver. So, everyone else is safe. But still...
It's okay. I know what you're thinking. And you're right. We lost Melus and Silver. The overall outcome indicates that the cost...
Right! Don't think that way, Navia. One person might be saved at the expense of another, sure, but that isn't something we should ever consider a trade. Melus and Silver were not the price for saving anyone. They're heroes.
You're right. Thank you, Paimon. What you said just now was pretty amazing, actually. I'll remember your words.
Furthermore, I sincerely regret what happened to Melus and Silver. I only wish that my people could have arrived a little earlier to prevent this from happening.
Don't say that. You and your subordinates did everything you could. As Paimon said, Melus and Silver didn't choose to sacrifice themselves for any specific person. And they weren't the price paid for other salvation. They chose to become heroes themselves. I've never liked hearing people put it that way. It's like trying to relieve pain by saying some noble-sounding words. But right now, there's nothing more suitable. They really did become heroes.
You're right. I'm sorry for your loss, Miss Navia.
Demoiselle? Huh? Demoiselle, what are you doing here by yourself? Would you be standing here till dark if I hadn't come to get you?
Maybe she just wants some time to herself, Melus.
Oh, was I sleeping?
Yes, it would appear so.
I must be tired.
That's quite possible. However, you were the one that suggested we go out for a walk.
Oh, right. I nearly forgot. It must have slipped my mind when I dozed off. I haven't had a nap today yet. This is a familiar feeling, yet something's a little strange.
Is something the matter, Demoiselle?
Oh, no. No, I'm fine. I was just trying to recall why we came out for a walk.
Do you remember Mr. Giverny? He'd requested our help before with foreign merchants who had a debt dispute with him, and we'd resolved the matter not long ago.
We were headed to see how things were going with him at the moment.
Ah, right. Yes. I remember now.
Oh, Miss Navia. Ah, Mr. Melus, and Mr. Silver, too. It's good to see all of you.
How have you been?
I've been great. Thanks to your help, those bothersome merchants finally realized that I wasn't the one they were looking for. Why, I wasn't even the guarantor for that person. They were knocking at my door day and night. Even my neighbor, Obina, was getting fed up with them.
Sometimes force is required to calm someone down and get them to listen to what you have to say.
That's right. Oh, by the way, Burnett, what was it that you wanted to give to Miss Navia again?
Oh, yes. One moment, I have it, Miss Navia. These are some flower seeds that I prepared. Please take them. They're a very good variety, and they'll become very big and beautiful once they bloom. I don't know what we would have done without your help, so this is a little token of our appreciation. I hope you won't refuse.
Did you cultivate them yourself? Thank you so much. I'll certainly take them. Melus, we do still have some empty flower pots at home, right?
Why, we can have as many pots as you'd like, Demoiselle.
Perfect. In that case, we'll swap out some of the decorative plants for some of Mrs. Burnett's flowers.
Very well.
Wait. Something seems to be off here. Excuse me, madam. If I'm not mistaken, your name is Burnett, correct?
That's right. Is something wrong?
No, it's nothing. This is the first time we've ever met, but your name seemed familiar to me. I must have heard it when I was discussing things with your husband previously. I've heard this name before. Sometime recently, I'm sure of it. And why are there so few people around here? Where did everyone go?
We must mind the time, Demoiselle. We still have important things to attend to today.
We do? Like what?
Well, now, did you forget?
Miss Navia, here you are. I've been looking for you. Please, come to the Opera House. Your trial is about to begin.
My trial? Wait, why would I need to go to the Opera House?
Yes, she's right, Demoiselle. It's just about time now, so we should get going.
Oh? All right then.
Look, it's Navia! She's here!
And her two attendants are with her. Goodness, everyone's finally here.
There sure are a lot of people here to see the trial. And they all seem to be oddly excited about something. Karina, Desiree, Joyville, Julien, Essen. Why are so many people here? And why do I have no recollection of this case? And as for the judge... Where's Monsieur Neuvillette?
Please sit in the defendant's seat. Don't worry, Silver and I shall accompany you.
All right. But are you sure you can stand behind me?
Typically, it wouldn't be allowed, but today is an exception.
Hey, what kind of place do they think this is?
Come on, do they have any idea what they're doing?
Seriously.
Enough with the whispering! Could someone please tell me where Monsieur Nervalette is? And why I'm standing trial?
My dear Miss Navia, have you not yet realized what you've done? In that case, allow me to explain. As all here know, you are Master Callus's successor, the head of the Spina di Rosula, someone held in high regard by every soul in Poisson. After you took over the Spina, you treated all of us just like the late Master Callus had. If anyone in need reached out to you for help, you responded. Not only you, but your butler, your subordinates, nearly everyone in the Spina di Rosula fought for the well-being of those in Poisson.
Wait a moment. Aren't you just proving that I'm a good person?
Yes, correct. Absolutely right. And that is why you stand accused. You have helped so many people get through so many difficulties. You are one with us. We are inseparable. We are one big family, all of us who are from Poisson, inextricably linked. And with you being so important, we couldn't possibly do without you. Therefore, this fair and honorable court shall declare you guilty, and you shall stay here. You will be together with us.
Huh? What are you saying? Everything you have said is correct. I have indeed done a lot for my hometown, and I would be willing to be with you all, but what is the purpose of having me stand here like this?
Ah, well, if that's what you think, then I have no further comments.
How wonderful, Miss Navia!
I know all these people. Why are they laughing?
I seem to remember now. Yes, I get it. This trial is...
Wait just a moment. This isn't right!
Melus?
What was that, Mr. Melus? Our conclusion is very clear and unanimous. Let the court judge her now. She's guilty!
Stay here, Navia! You're one of us!
Demoiselle, don't admit guilt. This trial means to keep you here forever.
I wish to exercise my right to defend Our Lady. Mr. Joinville, you only know of Navia's goodness, but nothing of her utterly independent mind.
She was born a free and independent spirit. She has never been tied down by anything. Indeed, even the death of Master Callus couldn't stop her.
Her actions cannot serve as proof that she identifies herself as part of any group. She merely acted as an individual, extending her hand to help others. Please do not mistake her actions as being otherwise.
Really? As an individual, you say? Don't forget, we are all Fontanians here. This is the nation of justice, the nation of Hydro! Even if Miss Navia only voluntarily rendered her assistance, that doesn't change the fact that her beautiful soul must return to everyone. Water accepts all, blends with all. It will surely accept her kindness. Everything is measured here in the nation of Hydro, and in the end, everyone shall meld together. Thus, when a unanimous opinion emerges, that opinion represents justice. Now I speak for everyone. Our opinion is consistent. Navia should stay. We and Navia are one.
And you would call this justice? Preposterous. You are merely jealous that Demoiselle still has a chance to exist as an individual. Have you forgotten how much you all once longed to become individuals?
Do you mean to defy our
justice? If your justice is flawed, then why should we acknowledge it?
As you said, we can also have our own justice. Silver and I shall defend Demoiselle. And that is how we will enforce justice.
My head...
Demoiselle!
Silver, it hurts. My head is spinning. All I can see is stars swirling in front of me. I remember now. Everything that seemed odd from the very beginning. Karina, Desiree, Joyville, Jolien, Essen. And Mr. Giverny and Mrs. Burnett, who we met earlier. Even Melus and Silver. I don't want to admit it, but they're all dead.
Don't be afraid, and don't admit guilt. We will protect you to the very end.
Absurd! Who are you to say that she cannot be judged? We are the majority, and in the nation of trials, the majority is absolute justice. We are the will of all.
Don't let them escape! We shall keep Navia here with us!
Mr. Melus and Mr. Silver, must you be so stubborn? How could the two of you possibly hope to stand against the collective? Do not resist. This judgment is fair and just. Navia belongs to us. After all that happened, she should not be left alone in Poisson.
What are you saying?
No more excuses!
She says we're jealous. Jealous? How could she possibly be an independent individual?
What's with these people?
Who's jealous of her?
She belongs to us!
Miss Navia, she...
Silence!
That's...
Monsieur Neuvillette!
Such commotion is prohibited in the court. The accusations you just presented are nonsense and cannot constitute a proper trial. The court will adjourn for the rest of the day. In this, I shall hear no objections from any unauthorized party.
Our thanks, Monsieur Neuvillette.
Please leave with me, Miss Navia, while there is still time.
But...
Go on now, demoiselle. This is your only chance to leave this place. What, can't bear to leave us behind or something?
Melus.
My apologies. I couldn't resist making one little joke once I realized that this shall be our last goodbye.
Melus... Silver...
Quickly, you must come now!
Goodbye, demoiselle.
Farewell.
No, wait! Just a second!
Navia?
You're awake. Good.
I must have been dreaming. Melus and Silver were still alive, and they were defending me at some insane trial.
It looks like you're all right.
Did all the sad feelings cause you to have a nightmare? Paimon could give you a hug.
The ruins you were exploring suffered a cave-in. When I arrived, I found you falling toward the water. You were just about to be dissolved within, but I...
What is it?
I think I saw 2 Oceanids protecting you. It was only for a moment, perhaps even a fraction of a second, but they gave me the chance to retrieve you. Were it not for their intervention, I would not have been able to rescue you before your consciousness dissipated.
Wait, did you say Oceanids? You mean like what happened with Vache?
Perhaps those 2 Oceanids were the people you saw in your dream.
I always told them that they didn't have to protect me. To think that they'd keep doing so even after death.